Reminds me that we've turned off the gas in the city buildings, just to be certain.
Can you tell us
as a precaution
where these aircraft came from? There was a report that may have been hijacked in Boston.
I think we should leave. I think we should leave that up to the federal government to. Yes, we do have some information, but I think we should leave that up to the federal government to release that information. Our focus is on the relief efforts. And
Governor, do you think there should be any retaliation on the part of the United States for what happened here in this country, both in New York, Washington, and other places?
First step right now, Marcia, is to make sure we do everything to help those people who need our support, and whether they're injured or still trapped in buildings. The second thing is to make sure at the same time we're providing the maximum security against possible additional incidents. But clearly, this is an attack upon America. It's an attack upon our freedom and our way of life, and we must retaliate and go after those who perpetuated this heinous crime against the people of America.
Mayor, this is compared to Pearl Harbor. Do you consider this to be an act of war? This has been compared.
I'll do both.
This has been compared to Pearl Harbor. Do you consider this to
be
an act of war?
This is a vicious, unprovoked, horrible attack on innocent men, women, and children. It's one of the most heinous acts certainly in world history. And as the governor said, and I said to the president, we fully and completely support him in any action that he has to take in order to make an example out of the people who are responsible for this.
Is it an act of war in your mind?
I don't know that I want to use those words. I think the president is the one that has to respond, and I think what he has to know is that all of us in New York support him, and support him completely in the efforts that he's going to have to make over the next couple of days, week, and to make a point that people can't do this. You can't attack innocent men, women, and children. And ultimately, I'm totally confident that American democracy and the American rule of law will prevail. And the people of New York are going to help to demonstrate that over the next couple of days.
Anybody take responsibility for this? Any group take responsibility at this time? And what is the city doing to safeguard the citizens now that something like this happens?
Well, first of all, I don't know if anyone has taken responsibility for it at this time. And secondly, the New York City Police Department is fully deployed, not just in the rescue effort, but all throughout the city of New York, offering as much protection and as much security as we're capable of for the citizens of the city. And at this point, I believe that the people in New York City can demonstrate our resolve and our support for all of the people that were viciously attacked today by going about their lives and showing everyone that vicious, cowardly terrorists can't stop us from being a free country and a place that functions. And we'll do everything we can to make that point.
Jennifer Steiner, please. Just a house, can you please tell us what's going to happen to the New York primary?
This morning, I issued an order suspending the primary across the state. There will be no primary today, and we'll reschedule it once we get through this.
Jennifer, please.
Can you please walk us through the municipal services right now? What's going on with the subway and the schools, the forest?
The subway, the schools, the chancellor, I commend the chancellor. He was on the phone a number of times with us. He coordinated very, very carefully what would happen. He thought it out, and he came up with a very good plan, which was essentially to keep the schools open, to keep the children in school, so we didn't have a large number of children in the different boroughs that would be released from school. They're being released, I shouldn't say as normal, but basically on the normal schedule. If parents aren't there to pick up the young children, then the children will be taken to a center, and the parents will be notified to come and pick them up. The children who have Metro cards, who normally travel on the subway, will be able to do that. The subways are functioning in 4 of the 5 boroughs. And can we get an update, Joe, on how the subway is doing in Manhattan?
All the lettered lines are working.
And in Manhattan?
In Manhattan lines, all the lettered lines.
All the lettered lines are working, including in Manhattan. And throughout the rest of the city, public transportation is normal. So the children should be able to return from school in the normal fashion. And if any children don't have parents to pick them up, then we'll hold them, let the parents know, and then the parents can come and pick them up.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned you were on Barclay Street. What's the radius of damage that's been affected? How many other side streets around the world?
I don't think we know yet. The whole area of Lower Manhattan has been very much affected by it.
How many
police and fire are involved? Like how many, all NYPD off-duty officers, that they come in? Or like
all NYPD and FDNY officers are on duty now. And we're going to need all of them, and again, thanks to the governor and the way in which the state reacted, we will have 1,600 National Guard to relieve them over a period of time so we can get some relief for them.
If anybody's looking for someone that may have been in the World Trade Center or in and around that area, what should they do? How can they do it?
We're going to give you numbers so that we can try to help coordinate that. Individual businesses have already done that, but we will as soon as we can find some time from the relief efforts, give you a number in which people can call, and then we can direct them to the right place.
The National Guard looting or anything like that? Any lawlessness?
There have been no reports of lawlessness, no reports of looting. As I said, we saw a lot of people that were part of the escape effort. And they seem to be conducting themselves in a very, very sensible way, a very deliberate way. They seem to be helping each other. So I don't think we have any reports like that at all.
So the only National Guard we'll see will be in Lower Manhattan in the bomb site area. They won't be patrolling the rest of Manhattan.
No, the purpose of it is to help with the relief effort. We're gonna need the help of the state, surrounding areas with heavy-duty equipment.
When will they be arriving?
National Guard troops, some have arrived already, and we expect to have up to close to 2,000 between the National Guard and the state police by later this evening.
Mayor, bridges and tunnels will have to stay closed.
I think everything is closed for now, and then maybe in about an hour or two we can give you an update on what the plan will be for tomorrow.
We saw a lot of lightly injured people walking out of the area because obviously the emergency services were needed for the very seriously injured. People covered with dust, some people had difficulty breathing. Is there any health advice to give to people who were caught in this thing, who are not necessarily at risk of losing their life, but
I think obviously if you feel ill or you feel that you've been affected by it, you should go to a hospital and get checked out. But if it's just discomfort that you feel, then you can do basically what we did, was to wash our faces off and get rid of the clothes and get to an area where you can breathe in fresh air.
How many people were in the World Trade Center at the time of this attack?
I mean, it was business had already started. It was right before 9 o'clock. I don't know.
Tens of thousands?
Yes. Approximately. Someone just gave me a number of approximately 10,000, but that's a guess.
How long will the city remain on a heightened state of alert?
Until we're told not to. I mean, until the FBI and the police department and the federal government tells us that we shouldn't. Right now, the city is should be on a state of alert. Now, instead of frightening people, that should make people feel more confident that everything is being done to keep things secure. And again, let me emphasize that the reason for the National Guard, because I heard the question before, is to help with the relief effort, not because there's any fear of any other problems in the city right now.
How is the
Mr.
Port
Mayor, can you
Authority
tell us
certain
about
kinds of
the other
buildings,
public
Mr. Mayor?
buildings, City Hall, One Police Plaza? When will it be safe for you to return?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Hopefully soon, but I don't know the answer to that.
And we heard reports that One Police Plaza was evacuated. Was that true?
No, the command center is open.
And it was never.
We have people in the command center right now.
Mr. Mayor, there have also been reports of large loss of life among the police and firemen who were sent there to rescue people. How accurate are those reports?
There is no question that we lost police officers and firefighters, and some that I know personally, and all of us here know personally, that we're very worried about. And we're not going to know the answer to that until much later. And maybe we should just close now and give you a briefing later. And I would just ask everyone, I talked to Cardinal Egan before, because he's at St. Vincent's Hospital. Everybody should in their own way say a prayer and ask God for help and for assistance, and also ask God to give us the strength to overcome this, because I know we're going to need strength to overcome it. And I want the people of New York to be an example to the rest of the country and the rest of the world that terrorism can't stop us. American democracy is much stronger than vicious, cowardly terrorists, and we're going to overcome this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
New York Mayor Rudolph Giuliani and New York Governor George Pataki talking to reporters. The mayor urged New Yorkers to be calm and said they had been, and indeed in every picture we have seen of the area around the Trade Center, people were evacuating in a very calm, deliberate, no panic that we have been able to see from the pictures we have taken and the reporting we have done. The mayor said 1,500 walking wounded, as he described it, taken to Liberty State Park, 600 people in local hospitals, at least 150 people in critical condition. But in fact, the mayor said he would not even venture a guess at what these numbers will become as this day continues to unfold, and tomorrow he acknowledged it'll be several days before we really know how many people have been hurt, how many people have died. We would add one other point here I don't believe we have mentioned. As you know, airports around the country have been shut down. Every airport around the country has been shut down for the first time in the country's history. The FAA says now that there will be no commercial air traffic in the United States until at least noon tomorrow. No commercial flights anywhere in the country, not just New York and Washington, anywhere until noon tomorrow. We know that many of you are just now coming home, joining us, and so we want to walk you through what has gone on both here in New York City and in Washington. We go to Atlanta and our colleague Joey Chin. Joey, good afternoon.
Aaron, extraordinary coverage there on the rooftops in New York of this extraordinary and horrific series of events that we have been watching throughout this day here on CNN. Acts of terrorism, and it's such an unprecedented scope and scale. It is really quite difficult to follow, and quite frankly, there had been an enormous amount of confusion as all these events were unfolding through the day. So we are trying as best as we can to try to walk you through all this now, to bring you all up to date on what we know about the events that have taken place today. Beginning at 8:45 this morning, that is Eastern time, when the World Trade Center, the workday was well underway there in Lower Manhattan, an airliner crashing into one of the twin towers of the Trade Center. The people in New York, and then very quickly people all around the nation, watching just terrible horror as a thick black smoke billowed from the tower. But that, as it turned out, as it proved, was really just the beginning. 18 minutes later, just 18 minutes later, you see in the highlighted picture there on the right side another very big commercial jumbo jet moving towards the other tower of the World Trade Center, and there you see again the explosion taking place on camera for all to see, quite apparently, quite specifically designed to do that. That was at 9:03 Eastern. Cameras were trained on the two twin centers. Of course, you know that the Trade Center was the target of a terror bombing back in 1993, which killed 6 people. The attack injured so many more, and it really does pale in comparison to what we are seeing today, although, as you just heard from the mayor of the city of New York, nobody wants to make a guess yet on what the final toll will be. In the middle of all of this, suddenly Washington became a target. You see it here. This is the Pentagon, which we always view as some sort of a impenetrable fortress. Pentagon, the symbol of the nation's military might, also a command post today. Pentagon wrecked by the explosion that occurred at 9:45 this morning. Witnesses say that the commercial aircraft crashed into the Army side of the building. That has been confirmed by authorities. Is about this time that the federal government ordered all the nation's airports closed and ordered all planes in the air to get on the ground. And as you just heard from Aaron Brown, commercial aircraft will not be in the nation's skies again until sometime tomorrow. Now we'll move ahead to 10 o'clock Eastern. The first of the two Trade Center towers collapses, and you see the tremendous plume of smoke and debris left. This is an image we cannot forget. That was the visual sighting, and you see really just almost an explosion, an implosion, as it just gave away all that was left, the ash falling from the top of the tower as it came down. 29 minutes later, the second Trade Center tower collapsing. We can report that we know some 50,000 people work daily in the area of the Trade Center buildings. These towers are U.S. landmarks. They receive tens of thousands of visitors each day. The mayor of New York City has said that he does believe a horrendous number of lives has been lost in the course of this tragedy, but he did not want to wager any sort of speculation on what the final toll would be. At least one witness told us that in the moments before the buildings collapsed, he saw people leaping to try to save their own lives from the Trade Center towers. Back in Washington, we get a closer look at what occurred at the Pentagon. What was left, the great flames in the gaping hole of the Pentagon, apparently left by that hijacked plane that crashed into the Department of Defense. Again, we're told this is the Army side of the building of the Pentagon building, which of course has 5 sides. Now, commercial aircraft, we also know, has crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. That is south-southeast of Pittsburgh, about 80 miles south-southeast of Pittsburgh along I-76. A report says that just before the crash, a passenger who was on board telephoned 911, saying that the plane had been hijacked and trying to get help. Now that would explain the crash there for all